Welcome back to Allah's Round 2 of NRL Tipping. Last week proved to be a disappointing week for many NRL tipping experts, as only two favorite teams managed to secure victories. However, on our tipping channel, we had a stroke of luck and successfully predicted the outcomes of 4 games, including the expected margins. Additionally, we even correctly tipped 2 games with a winning margin of 13+. Stay tuned as we continue to provide insightful tips and predictions for the upcoming Round 2 tipping. Brisbane Broncos vs South Sydney Rabbitohs, Thursday night, Suncorp Stadium. Two sides returning from the Las Vegas trip with a loss. Neither club will want to start the season with 2 losses, but particularly the Broncos in front of what should be a large home crowd by Thursday night standards. Piakura returns in the back row for the Broncos while the Bunnies have lost Jai Arrow and Jacob Host and potentially for some time. Shaquille Mitchell replaces Jacob Host on the bench. Jack Whiten has one more week to serve on his suspension. It's been a big week for Ezra Mam and I expect the Broncos to get around him and put a smile on his face. If both teams play to their potential, it could be the game of the round. If the Broncos play to their potential, they should be too good. The Broncos have won 3 of their past 4 games against the Rabbitohs. The Rabbitohs have won their past 4 games at Suncorp Stadium. Broncos center Kotoni Staggs has scored 6 tries in 7 games against the Rabbitohs. Rabbitohs fullback Latrell Mitchell requires 1 try to reach a century of NRL tries. Broncos center Selwyn Cabo has scored 20 tries in his past 18 games at Suncorp Stadium. By examining the lineup of both teams, it appears that Rabbitohs will be missing 2 key players from their forward pack, Jacob Host and Jai Arrow. Considering this, I am tipping the Broncos to secure a victory with a winning margin of 13+. Friday night's game will be between Cronulla Sharks and Canterbury Bulldogs at PointsBet Stadium, Sydney, and another game will be between Penrith Panthers and Parramatta Eels at Bluebet Stadium, Penrith. Another interesting game will be between Cronulla Sharks and Canterbury Bulldogs. Sharks. Coach Craig Fitzgibbon has made minimal changes to the side that upset the Warriors last week with Toby Rudolph named in the starting side and Royce Hunt moving to the bench. Braden Hamlin-Welle, knee, remains on the sidelines. Bulldogs. With Josh Adokar ruled out for the next few weeks with an AC injury, new recruit Connor Tracy comes onto the wing after serving as 18th player last week. Coach Cameron Ciraldo has otherwise stuck solid with the team that went down to the Eels in Round 1, with no other changes made to the lineup. Bronson Xerri is the new replacement. The match has several interesting statistics and milestones are at play. The Sharks have won 11 of their past 13 games against the Bulldogs, who have not won at PointsBet Stadium since 2011. Additionally, Sharks winger Ronaldo Mulitalo boasts an impressive record of scoring 27 tries in 25 games at PointsBet Stadium. On top of that, Sharks co-captain Dale Finucane will be celebrating his 250th NRL appearance. This match will also mark the 100th clash between the Sharks and the Bulldogs, who first met in 1967. By looking at this lineup, both teams will be at their best, but Cronulla Sharks will be stronger than Canterbury Bulldogs, so I will be tipping Cronulla Sharks by 1-12. Panthers and Eels will meet at Bluebet Stadium on Friday night to write another chapter in Rugby League's long-standing rivalry of the West. Having now lost 2 games in a row after going down to Wigan in the World Club Challenge and kept scoreless by Melbourne in Round 1, Ivan Cleary's Panthers will be desperate to get back to their winning ways when they meet with their Western Sydney rivals. Conceding 9 penalties and coughing up 12 errors, the Panthers will welcome back hooker Mitch Kenny into the starting side and ensure the 3-time premiership-winning spine is back to the well-oiled machine we know come Friday. The Eels, meanwhile, head into Round 2 bristling with confidence after a classy 26-8 victory over the Bulldogs on Saturday night and will be eager to return to the Penrith Fortress after downing the Premiers 32-18 there in Round 26 last year. Despite Mitch Moses carrying a groin injury in Saturday's season opener, passing on kicking duties to his teammates, the Eels confirmed on Monday the star halfback will be fur for the Round 2 blockbuster. Panthers. Scott Sorensen and Luke Kenny make their return in the forwards, so Luke Garner goes to the bench and Luke Summerton drops out. Matt Eisenhuth is among the reserves along with former Bulldog Paul Alamoti and Brad Schneider. Eels, coach Brad Arthur goes with the same 17 that got the job done in round 1 against the Bulldogs. Wyermu Greg is listed among the reserves as he looks to return from a hamstring injury. The Panthers have won 10 of their past 11 games at Bluebet Stadium. The Eels have won 4 of their past 6 games against the Panthers. Panthers winger Sunia Turuva has scored try-doubles in his past 2 games at Bluebet Stadium. Eels fullback Clint Gutherson has scored 5 tries in his past 6 games against the Panthers. The Panthers have not lost consecutive games to start a season since 2016. By examining the lineups, both teams appear to be at their best, but as a dedicated supporter of the Eels, I am tipping them to pull off an upset against the Panthers, which they always does. Therefore, I predict the Eels will win by a margin of 1-12. The West's Tigers will be raring to go after a round 1 bye but face a tough test against a Raiders team buoyed by a big first-up win over the Knights. After picking up their second straight wooden spoon, the West's Tigers must get away to a good start to keep loyal fans hopeful that 2024 will bring some much-needed success. Rookie coach Benji Marshall will blood a host of new recruits with Jaden Sullivan and Aiden Cesar tipped to be handed first crack in the halves, and star signing Justin Olam set to don new colors for the first time in his career. Meanwhile, after downing the Knights 28-12 in arguably the biggest upset of round 1, Ricky Stewart's side will fancy their chances against the Wooden Spooners as they open the gates on GIO Stadium for 2024. Fogarty's composure and control with the boot was a standout for his side last week, and the West's Tigers will be sure to do their homework after the vice-captain scored 2 tries from pinpoint kicks aimed at the goalposts in their last meeting in 2023. News. Raiders. Center Seb Chris return from suspension sees Albert Hopoate push out to the wing and Nick Kotrick drop to 18th man. Hooker Danny Levi has been named to play despite hurting his quad in the win over the Knights. West's Tigers. The Tigers' first team of the season features rookie Lachlan Galvin at 5'8" alongside Jaden Sullivan at halfback with Aiden Cesar on the bench. With Justin Olam sidelined by a knee injury, Solomona Faitape makes his NRL debut in the centers. Faitape joined West's Tigers this season on a 1-year development contract following a premiership-winning season with Brisbane Tigers in the 2023 Queensland Cup. John Bateman lines up at lock with ASU Kipeoa named 18th man. Samuela Fainu makes his club debut off the bench. By analyzing the lineups of both teams, it is clear that they are both performing at their best. However, considering the Raiders' strong performance last week against the Knights and their favorable chances of winning against the Tigers, I believe the Raiders will continue their winning streak in this game. Therefore, I am tipping the Raiders to secure a victory with a margin of 13+. The big winners from round 1 after a dominant performance against the Dolphins, North Queensland are back at home to face a Knights side hurting from a first-up defeat to the Raiders. Under the guidance of former premiership-winning half James Maloney, who has taken on the role of club attack coach, the Cowboys played an expansive brand that included scoring 4 times after running it on last tackle against the Finns in a 43-18 win. Newcastle on the other hand fell to a disappointing 28-12 defeat in front of a sold-out crowd at McDonald Jones Stadium, with a bad collapse in the final 20 minutes seeing them leak 3 tries. After being ruled out at halftime last week with a quad injury, Nrl Tipping misses the game and Thomas Jenkins earns his first appearance for the Knights after signing from the Panthers over the off-season. Cowboys. Coach Todd Payton has the luxury of naming an unchanged 17 after the impressive win over the Dolphins to launch the season. Thomas Michael, Semi Vailme and Jake Clifford are among the reserves and Tom Chester is 18th man. Knights. A quad injury to winger Nrl Tipping brings former Panther Tom Jenkins in for his first game as a Knight. Englishman Kai Pearce-Paul has been promoted to the starting side after a strong showing off the bench in round 1. Former Rabbitoh Jed Cartwright has forced his way into the 17 after being 18th man last week. By analyzing the lineups of both teams, it is clear that they are both performing at their best. However, considering the Cowboys' strong performance last week against the Dolphins and their favorable chances of winning against the Knights, I believe the Cowboys will continue their winning streak in this game. Therefore, I am tipping the Cowboys to secure a victory with a margin of 13+. On the back of an upset loss to open the season, which saw two key players pick up injuries, this isn't a matchup or venue that bodes well for the Warriors as they seek a bounce back. After a stellar opening 20 minutes last Friday, the Warriors failed to fire a shot against the Sharks in an eventual 16-12 loss, while later that night in Melbourne the Storm were outstanding in an 8-0 shutout of the Panthers to extend their unbeaten opening round record to a mind-boggling 22 years. Craig Bellamy's men have owned this rivalry since 2016 and boast 14 straight wins over the Warriors. The Storm will also be aiming for a record 11th consecutive victory at AMI Park, but they'll have to do it without injured stars Cameron Munster and Nelson Asofa-Solomona, who remain sidelined. Storm star 5'8" Cameron Munster hasn't even been included in the 22-man squad this week, suggesting his groin injury is still a fair way off being healed. Jonah Pizzette will run again in the halves with Jarome Hughes, while the Storm also haven't named big man Nelson Asofa-Solomona, who is battling a hamstring problem. New recruit Sean Bloor is again listed as 18th man. Warriors, an unchanged lineup from round 1, with Wade Egan named at hooker despite failing to finish the loss to the Sharks with an elbow injury. Kurt Capewell is set to play through the pain of a rib cartilage injury too after being named in the back row. Veteran trio Jazz Tavaga, Tamir Martin and Chanel Harris-Tavita are all in the extended squad after playing well in the club's reserve grade team last week. By analyzing the lineups of both teams, it is clear that they are both performing at their best. However, considering the Storm's strong performance last week against the Premiership winners Penrith Panthers and their favorable chances of winning against the Warriors, I believe the Storms will continue their winning streak in this game. Therefore, I am tipping the Storm secure a victory with a margin of 13+. The two winning sides from the rollicking season opening in Vegas will be out to continue that momentum when they meet in a mouth-watering clash at 4 Pines Park. A huge crowd is guaranteed for Manly's first home game of the season, with fans hoping they can turn 4 Pines into a fortress again after winning just 6 of 10 their last season. The home side will be without flying winger Jason Saab for at least the next month after he picked up a hamstring injury, while back rower Josh Schuster will make his injury return in the NSW Cup this week. The Roosters had injury concerns of their own in Vegas, with centre Billy Smith a late withdrawal from the Broncos clash due to a hamstring injury and Englishman Dom Young missing the game due to a neck injury. Young is back on deck this week, as is veteran prop Jared Waerea-Hargreaves, who will line up in career game number 299 as he returns from suspension. With Spencer Leniu banned for 8 weeks at the judiciary on Monday night, the presence of JWH in his first game since round 26 last year is a big boost for the Roosters. Sea Eagles, winger Jason Saab is set to miss 6 weeks with a hamstring injury, and his place is taken by Tommy Tolo. Hooker Carl Lawton suffered an ankle injury in round 1 but has been named to play. Back rower Josh Schuster will play NSW Cup this weekend as he closes in on a return from a calf injury. Jake Arthur is again the 18th man. Roosters, a boost for the Roosters with star recruit Dom Young named to return from a neck injury he suffered during the preseason challenge. Young takes over on the wing from Fetaliga Paga. Also back on deck is prop Jared Waerea-Hargreaves, suspension, while back rower Sitalai Tupuniua has been named to play despite suffering a groin injury in round 1. The Roosters will be without prop Spencer Leniu until round 10 after he was banned for 8 games for contrary conduct. By analyzing the lineups of both teams, it is clear that they are both performing at their best. However, considering the Manly's strong performance previous week against the South Sydney Rabbitohs at Las Vegas and their favourable chances of winning against the Roosters, Tommy is at fullback, I believe the Manly will continue their winning streak in this game. Therefore, I am tipping the Manly secure a victory with a margin of 1-12. The Dragons travel north brimming with confidence after launching the Shane Flanagan era with a comprehensive victory over the Titans in round 1. In stark contrast, the Dolphins had their confidence dented by a 43-18 loss to the Cowboys, a game in which they missed 24 tackles and completed at just 77%. Adding to the Dolphins' woes is the loss of Connolly Lemuelu to a knee injury that is expected to sideline him until round 6, while Ray Stone will miss round 2 with concussion. The Supercoach Wayne Bennett has seen it all then some during the past 3 decades, so there will be no panic in the Dolphins camp, but they will need to get their edge defense right and find better last tackle options if they are to bounce back in front of their home fans at Redcliffe. For rival mentor Flanagan, the sight of Tyrell Sloan bagging a hat-trick and Zach Lomax playing strongly on the wing was vindication of the tough positional call he made, while center Moses Sully and skipper Ben Hunt also launched their season in style. After missing round 1 with a rib injury, prop Blake Laurie returns for the Red V, who will be looking to start a season 2-0 for the first time since 2018, when they won their first 6 on the trot. When these sides met at KO Stadium last year, it was the Dolphins who came away victorious 26-12 on the back of some Anthony Milford brilliance and an 18-point haul from Jermaine Isako. Dolphins, a big change in the halves sees young gun Isaiah Katoa named at number 7 and Sean O'Sullivan among the reserves. Former Bulldog Jake Avarillo is set to make his Dolphins debut, named alongside fellow recruit Herbie Farnworth in the centers with Tessie Nyo shifting to the reserves. Backrower Connolly Lemuelu, knee, and lock Ray Stone, concussion, are both out. Ewan Aitken comes in at second row while Max Plath has been promoted from the bench to lock. Jared Wallace joins the bench after being named as 18th man last week. Dragons. New recruit Luciano Lailua has been named on the bench to make his club debut after missing round 1 due to suspension. Prop Blake Laurie is good to go after being ruled out of last week's win with a rib cartilage injury. After moving into the starting side last week, Raymond Faitala Mariner has been named on the bench while fellow recruit Haim Seal remains sidelined with a hamstring injury. Last week's debutant Viliami Fifita is 18th man. By analyzing the lineups of both teams, it is clear that they are both performing at their best. However, considering the Dragons' strong performance last week against the Gold Coast Titans and their favorable chances of winning against the Dolphins, I believe the Dragons will continue their winning streak in this game. Therefore, I am tipping the Dragons secure a victory with a margin of 1-12. I am not an expert in tipping, and I'm not suggesting that you should follow all of my tips. I'm simply sharing my thoughts to provide fair ideas for you to consider when making your own tipping decisions. Remember to gamble responsibly, and if you enjoy my content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel.